Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Here I am with another lecture of public administration. So, what basically public administration is that we have already discussed in detail. We have started different schools of thoughts about the public administration, and we have started from the classical school of thought. In last lecture, we have already discussed about some contributions by, by the different writers of the public administration, and now we will move forward. So, Henry L. Gantt. Gantt also belongs to the classical school of thought because he was also trying to focus on the efficiency and maximization of the output. And we have seen that in the last lecture, all the contributors were basically trying to promote the efficiency in the organization. They have mentioned that politics is different from the government and all that. So Henry basically focused on the efficiency and maximization of output. He emphasized the need for developing mutuality of interest between management and labor, which mean a harmonious cooperation between both. He asserted that in all the problems of management, the human element is the most important. What he basically said that in all the problems of management, the human element is most important. The importance of time as well as cost in planning and controlling work कि जितनी भी मैनेजमेंट के इश्यूज हैं उन तमाम मैनेजमेंट के इश्यूज में ह्यूमन रिसोर्स जो है वो सबसे कीन इशू है किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में जो चीज़ें बहुत अहम होती हैं वो होता है टाइम उस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में कॉस्ट अल्टीमेटली द प्लानिंग फॉर द गोल्स एंड कंट्रोलिंग वर्क कि आप अपने गोल्स को अचीव करने के लिए किस तरह से तमाम टास्क जो हैं वो परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं. This led eventually to the famous Gantt chart. Next slide I will show you the figure which is basis of such modern techniques as the program evaluation and review techniques. So basically he gave the idea uh, of uh, of evaluating the work of workers uh, of an organization or workers in a state by giving a chart that is much related with the current program evaluation and review techniques known as PERT. So this is the Gantt chart. What he basically said that whenever a worker basically start performing, ultimately uh, he takes step by step, and ultimately on a final day he is able to give a review, he's able to give a final report about his task. So in this is basically almost of a month chart where he basically mentioned that on day 1 what the worker will do, on day 2 what would be his task, and what are the different tasks that ultimately he will start from the day 1 that he has to perform, and there are some tasks which are not performed on the daily basis, and ultimately these are some specific days tasks. So this particular task sorry chart, we basically analyze that a worker is basically performing this different tasks in an organization on different time periods, and ultimately on the day end the organization can evaluate his performance by looking for his past services in the organization, and ultimately we will realize that if the worker is useful, or we can say he's performing his task properly or not. So first one is development of methodology, that ultimately how the performed will be, how the task will be performed. Next, workshop on user needs, that ultimately he will be given a workshop about the needs of the user. Then draft of methodology, then a methodology will be drafted by which the task will be performed. Then a methodology evaluation, Like on day 6 and 7 we will evaluate our methodology, that ultimately if it is good or not. Development of methodology, but the task is performing for this whole week. Specification of integrated system. Okay, we are performing this task from day 1 to day 14. And what are the ultimate different activities in this particular task? First one is inventory of resources in selected regions. uh, like whatever our resources हम उन्हें किस किस regions में invest करेंगे. Review of existing facilities, like on day 2, 3, 4 this task will be performed. Then specify technical development required. On day 4, 5, 6 we will perform this task. Then impact analysis of different scenarios. On day 6, 7, 8, 9 we will perform this task. Then prepare detailed business plan. Like on day 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14 we will perform this particular task. Then feasibility studies for each regions. This task will be performing from the day 1 to day 17. And exactly like this ultimately we are performing the task. And project management and coordination, like the implementation of the project and the coordination, this task will be performed from day 1 to the last day. Then milestones and deliverables, like ultimately then we have to realize ultimately that what is the result of our basically research, or we can say the implementation result of uh, our project. So guidelines for the methodology, like ultimately from on task 1 we have seen that we have developed a methodology. So on day 3 we will get a guideline for the methodology. On day 6 the interim reports will be formulated. Then interim report, then business plan of 4 regions. A draft will be constructed on day 12, and then public workshops on the results, business plan of 4 regions, and final report will be done. All of these tasks will be performed on last day. So this is how an employee basically work in an organization, that on different days he's performing different tasks, and ultimately all of his tasks influence or basically contribute in the work of the organization. Then Frank and Lillian Gilbreth, they are basically the next contributors in the classical school of thought. Frank and Lillian Gilbreth strongly supported the idea of Taylor, Frederick Winslow Taylor. So Frank and Lillian Gilbreth, they were basically the husband and wives, and Gilbreth became interested in vested motion and work. He observed the work of the bricklayers and said that it can be reduced from 18 to 5 movements. He met Taylor in 1907 and combined his idea with Taylor to improve productivity of the worker. So Frank and Lillian Gilbreth emphasized on the following: application of scientific management principles. Like Frederick Winslow Taylor gave the idea of scientific management theory, where he said there is always one best way to perform a task. So Frank and Lillian Gilbreth also focused on that particular principle, that there are some scientific management principles, that is also known as time and motion studies, that ultimately in how many motions and in how many times ultimately you achieve the task. जिसमें हमने बेसिकली शवल्स की एग्जांपल डिस्कस की थी कि किस तरह से एक मोशन में और एक टाइम में पहले कितना वजन उठाया जाता था, और बाय चेंज इन एंड इंक्रीज इन द साइज ऑफ द शवल अल्टीमेटली तो हमने डिफरेंट कम मोशंस के साथ ज़्यादा वजन उठाना शुरू कर दिया. So they need to understand workers' personalities and needs, कि अल्टीमेटली ये चीज़ें आप तब तक अचीव नहीं कर सकते जब तक कोई भी बेसिकली ऑनर या फिर कोई भी स्टेट अपने एम्प्लॉयज़ को एक परफेक्ट इन्वायरमेंट प्रोवाइड नहीं करती. उसके बाद है जी theory of bureaucracy. Max Weber has basically given this theory of bureaucracy. We will also study this theory in details in next lectures, but now we are just taking a fair idea. So Max Weber was basically born in 1864 and was died in 1920, and this was the whole era where he gave different contributions. Max Weber was a lawyer who got interested in the social aspects of the organization. During his time in the market, becoming and his lifelong work on the study of the organization led to believe that specific kind of organizations called bureau like this will help in the growth of the markets. He gave following main characters of the bureaucracy: top level management, middle level management, and low level management. What he basically said that bureau means desk and crazy means ultimately to perform uh, a task on sitting a desk. So the person who is sitting at a desk and he is ultimately giving the directions is known as bureaucrat. So he basically gave the idea that ultimately in any organization there must be a hierarchy of authority. Like there must be a top level management, there must be a middle level management, and there must be a low level management. And all of these people must perform their task in a proper manner, where top level management should give direction to the middle level management should give direction to the lower level management, and all of them should perform their task effectively and efficiently. Effectively means there must be unity of command, that the right person must be assigned for the right job. Efficiency means there must be less input, most of the output. There must be a proper basic scale structure for the people, for the bureaucrats, and there must be proper rules and regulations that they have to follow to ultimately perform their tasks. So that was the theory of the bureaucracy, where he basically gave the idea that there must be a hierarchical structure in the organization to perform a task, and there must be decentralization, that power must be transferred from higher level to the lower level. So the general characteristics of his theory are following: hierarchy of authority that I have already mentioned, like top level, the power must be transferred from higher level to the lower level. Impersonality, like ultimately the decisions in the organization must be neutral, and the person shouldn't consider his own self, his own interest in taking any of the decision for the public interest. Then written rules in documents, promotion based on achievement, that the promotion of any of the employee of the state must be based on his achievement, but ultimately not on the thing that no personal favor must be given to any of the state employee. Specialized division of labor, that right person must be appointed for the right job. Efficiency, less input, maximum output. So these are basically the general characteristics of the theory of bureaucracy by Max Weber. That is it for today. Thank you so much. Hope you have understand the lecture. If you still have any queries, you can definitely ask. Thank you so much.